All right, everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. And this time we are tackling something I know a lot of you out there are probably thinking about a lot, and that's breaking into the tech industry.
Yeah.
And for this one, we're looking at an article called The Brutal Tech Job Hunt. So yeah, spoiler alert, this one is going to be a little bit of a wild ride.
It is a wild ride out there.
Yeah, we're talking about stuff like millions of people applying for just a handful of jobs, this whole experience fresher dilemma.
Oh, yeah.
All that fun stuff.
Yeah, I think one of the things that really struck me about this article is the honesty.
Yeah.
It's just like so refreshing to see someone acknowledge just how hard it is to break into this industry right now.
Right.
And, instead of trying to sugarcoat things, the article really just lays it all out there. And it's like, hey, this is the reality of the situation, so you can strategize effectively.
Exactly. It's like ripping off the Band-Aid,
Exactly.
So, okay, first things first, this article talks about the crazy competition out there.
Oh, my God.
It paints this picture of just a massive talent pool with millions of people all trying to get the same few tech jobs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what does that even look like when you're actually out there trying to find a job?
Yeah, so imagine a company gets literally thousands of applications for one single opening, right?
Oh, yeah.
Your resume is basically a needle in a haystack.
Right.
It's not even enough to just be qualified anymore. You have to be absolutely remarkable. You have to figure out how to stand out from the crowd.
So it's not even just about having the skills, it's also about figuring out how to be discoverable.
Exactly.
And how to show people what makes you different.
Exactly.
What's your unique selling point,
Totally.
Now, another thing this article talks about is what they call the experienced fresher paradox.
Oh, yeah.
Which is this idea that you have all these entry-level jobs that are asking for 3+ years of experience.
Like what?
It's like, how are you supposed to have 3+ years of experience if you're just starting out?
I know, right? It's like, where do they think this experience is coming from? It's a total catch-22. And I think part of the problem is that companies just want people who can jump right in and start working without needing a lot of training.
Right.
They want to minimize their costs.
Mhm.
And then on top of that, so many tech roles these days are super specialized,
Right.
which just adds fuel to the fire. But you know what? You can totally bridge this gap.
Okay.
Think about doing personal projects, maybe some volunteer work, even creating your own mock projects if you have to.
Yeah.
These are all things that can show initiative and that you have practical skills.
I love that. And it's like you're saying to these companies, okay, maybe I don't have that corporate experience yet.
Right.
Look, I built this app or I designed this website, I can actually do stuff.
Yeah, and speaking of practical skills, the article also talks about how just having a degree is becoming less important
Oh, yeah.
than actually being able to do the job.
Right.
It's like the industry is shifting. Yeah. Companies need proof that you can walk the walk, not just talk the talk.
Right.
So all those projects that we were just talking about, those become your resume.
Yeah.
Proof that you can actually do this stuff. And honestly, I think that's pretty empowering.
I agree.
You're not limited by just a piece of paper anymore.
Yeah, it's almost like your portfolio is like the new diploma.
It really is.
Okay, so now for something that kind of drives me crazy, this whole leak code obsession that the article talks about,
Ugh, tell me about it.
what is the deal with that?
Okay, so yeah, data structures and algorithms, they are important. I'm not gonna lie.
Right.
Especially for certain roles, if you want to be a software engineer.
Yeah.
But the hiring process has gotten so obsessed with these leak code style tests that sometimes it feels like they're forgetting about real world skills.
Totally. And the article even gives this example of a candidate who aced all these leak code tests, but then they got into the actual job and they had no idea how to build a real application.
Oh yeah, I've heard stories like that too.
It's like, okay, great, you can solve these abstract puzzles, but can you actually function in the real world?
Right, exactly. It's all about balance.
Right.
Don't neglect data structures and algorithms completely, but make sure you're also prioritizing projects and skills that are actually relevant to the specific jobs you're applying for.
Yeah.
Let's say you're trying to be a front-end developer.
Right.
Showing off these interactive web applications that you've built is going to be way more impressive than just having a perfect leak code score.
Absolutely. Okay, so moving on, let's talk about networking.
Okay.
The article paints a pretty bleak picture of this whole thing, talking about fake communities and how hard it is to make genuine connections.
Yeah.
Is it even possible to do real networking in the tech world?
I used to think that networking was all about collecting business cards and adding a bunch of random people on LinkedIn.
Right.
But then I actually got my first internship through someone I met at a hackathon.
Oh, wow.
Not even at a career fair.
Yeah.
And it really showed me that networking is about connecting with people who share your passions, not just like forcing these random connections.
Right, so it's about finding your tribe, contributing to projects that you actually care about, attending events that genuinely interest you.
Exactly, like find mentors who actually inspire you.
Yeah.
Contribute to open source projects that you think are really cool.
Right.
It's about being an active participant in the community, not just someone who's like desperately searching for a job.
Totally. Okay, so now let's talk about the big elephant in the room.
Oh.
AI and automation.
Uh-oh.
Is the tech industry automating itself out of existence, like this article seems to suggest?
Well, you know, it's not quite an apocalypse,
Okay.
but it is definitely a trend that we all need to be paying attention to.
Yeah.
Some jobs are going to be automated, that's just the reality of it.
Right.
But other roles are going to evolve.
Yeah.
And I think the key is to do your research and figure out which tech skills are actually going to be future-proof.
Okay.
Think about areas like AI, ethics, data, privacy, cybersecurity. Yeah.
Those are all fields that are growing like crazy right now.
So it's not just about learning how to code anymore. It's
Right.
also about understanding the bigger picture,
Exactly.
the ethical implications, all the human elements, you know?
Totally.
Okay, now the last thing I want to touch on from this article is this idea of the freelancing trap,
Yeah.
which is basically the idea that there are just way too many freelancers out there,
So many.
all competing for like the same low-paying gigs.
Yeah, it's rough out there.
What are your thoughts on that?
So I actually think freelancing can be a really powerful tool,
Okay,
especially if you're using it to gain experience and build up your portfolio.
right?
Like, I actually used freelancing to bridge the gap between my academic projects and my first full-time job.
Oh, cool.
It gave me all these concrete examples that I could show to potential employers and be like, hey, look, I could do this stuff.
So it's about using freelancing strategically
Like that.
and not getting like stuck in that cycle of just chasing low-paying gigs.
Yes. Well, we've covered a lot of ground here today.
We have.
And I think it's pretty clear that breaking into tech is tough.
It is.
But, you know, one thing that this article also highlights is just like the incredible resilience of all the job seekers out there.
Oh, yeah,
You
absolutely.
guys are out there learning, adapting, hustling. I mean, it's impressive.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it takes.
Right.
Remember, focus on building a unique skill set, showcasing your value, and showing your passion.
Yeah.
That's how you're going to stand out from the crowd.
I love that. And hey, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it right.
That's true.
The challenge is all part of the reward.
Exactly.
So to all of you out there listening, keep learning, keep building, keep pushing.
Yeah.
You got this.
You got this.